What's going on, everybody? Y'all already know the vibes, and in today's video I'm going to be continuing my opinions on the CDL team. For today we will be talking about the Florida Mutineers, a team that I thought looked great in the preseason. Like I said, guys, I thought they looked pretty damn good in the preseason. I was starting to see the potential they had, and then they made that roster change, which I don't know why. I don't think, at least from a statistical standpoint, that they even needed to make a change. And they pick up a young gun in Neptune. He competed in Halo, the young kid with a lot of talent, a lot of potential, very raw, right? But he was highly sought after, or very sought after, whatever the correct terminology is. I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, that's a little weird. But then I watched them scrim, some all against LA Thieves and other teams with Neptune, and I was surprised. I was like, oh, this Neptune kid is picking up COD quick, because it's not easy. Okay, coming from a different FPS, especially Halo, you have to kind of change your mindset a little bit, right? But enough of that. I do want to talk about the players individually. And first up, we are going to start with Slack. Now, guys, I've known Slack as a player, as a friend for a very long time now. And I actually think he is one of the most underrated Call of Duty players of all time. Okay, especially after the Modern Warfare year, where it obviously didn't go too well for him. I mean, hey, he wasn't the only one. Right? And he got a lot of hate. People either love him or they hate him because of his personality, but he's very underrated because he is that support role player, right? He's that guy that doesn't care about being the dirty work player playing the objective. He's that guy that doesn't care about maybe putting himself in a disadvantage for the better of the team, by taking certain routes to get spawns, positionings, to, picking up certain cuts where he might not necessarily be the one who needs to do that. But that's just his mindset, right, as a player, which is very underrated. You need those players on your team to be successful. And on top of that, if they are very good and can kind of take over games, even if it's not consistently, but take over games and be consistent, that's like a cherry on top. While he might not be the most talented player, right, when it comes to the submachine gun role or flex, whatever the case may be, he is a glue type player. Okay, he's going to do whatever he needs to put the team in a better spot, to put the team in a situation to win the map, to win the series. Okay, very fundamentally correct player, which once again, that's obviously important. That is definitely a plus. It's not a negative by any means. So while he does lack some of the gunpowder, right, firepower, talent that other sub players have, he kind of makes up for it by just, positioning himself well, not only for himself, but also for the greater of the team. He's a very good communicator. I've known him for a while, even when we teamed for the brief moment in MW and AW, actually, but that's years in the past. He was a great communicator. So he kind of understands his role, in my opinion. I think he knows that he's not the most talented on the map. He might be looked at as an average player, but he does his role to a T. But that's going to lead me into the next player that I'm talking about, and that is Owakening, Big Wake. Okay, he is a newcomer in the scene. He kind of made a name for himself in Modern Warfare 5v5, and he was an absolute beast. Like, when I watched him, yes, it was Modern Warfare, right? Yes, it was 5v5 Call of Duty. I get it. It was different. It wasn't as competitive as not only the players would like, but also I know for everyone watching out there, the fans. I know you guys probably. It was too chaotic, right? But since I had a lot of time to watch him, because when he came into the league, I was sitting on the pond. I was surprised. His awareness seemed amazing, which is something that you don't normally see. He's definitely a very talented player, very versatile. I've seen him run basically any role and do very well in that. But I was just really interested in his map awareness. People had the whole thing of him having a strike pack or whatever. Not talking about that, guys. Come on. Or should I? I don't know. No. But his like mid-map awareness, right? Which is different because when you put in a lot of reps, you're going to have a certain level of awareness, right? Depending on the hill, depending on the rotation. It's like, I know these people are most likely going to be here, right? Or if I rotate at this point, I'm probably going to get into an engagement. but the heat of the moment in the map awareness is what stood out to me, where shit was getting hectic, especially in a 5v5 game in Modern Warfare. Okay, we all know how the spawns and everything work. He was able to keep his calm and really just be able to pick up on things. Like when shit started hitting the fan, okay, he would be able to realize, oh fuck, my one teammate is here, they're going to be spawning here, or just like crazy reads. It was fun to watch for me because, like I said, he's not like some super aggressive, cracked, crazy talented player, right? Like his teammate Neptune, right? He seems like a more methodical player who obviously has great gun skill, has all the talent in the world. That's not what he relies on. I love those types of players. So I think he has a very bright future. He's looked good so far in Cold War, so there is none of that, oh, it was only 5v5, it was only Modern Warfare. These players that kind of came up in this game aren't going to do so hot in a more traditional, methodical 4v4 Call of Duty title. Now, obviously, it is a small sample size, but I think he's going to be fine. I don't know much about him as a communicator. He seems very soft-spoken, okay? And, that is something that you can improve on as you become more comfortable, not only with your teammates, but just being in the league, right? Just being in that environment. So I don't really have too much to talk on that. I think his communication could improve, but at the same time, I think just give him time and he will get there. Because from what I've seen, he seems like he's like a sponge, like he's soaking up all this information and he's just taking it all in, and he's going to execute when the time comes. Okay, like that's how I look at Awakening. And I'm excited as him for a player individually. I think he could be around for a long time, be very successful, win multiple chips, and have just overall great events. I mean, he already has great events in MW, but I'm just talking about longevity here. Moving on to the next player, it is Skyz. You already know who Skyz is. I don't need to really explain, but a very good assault rifle player, very good main AR, very underrated in my opinion as well, because he sometimes is in the conversation, right, with the Foremost, with the Octanes, with the Slashers, etc., with the RCs. I know someone's going to say that if I didn't add RCs in there, but he's overlooked a lot of the time. He's not the biggest personality. He's not as flashy. Like, he has his moments, but he's not as flashy. And he also just hasn't been on the same big teams, big organizations that the others have, right? So not a lot of people really know how good Caesar is, but I think he can compete with the best of them. I do. Now, I don't know if he, will be the best AR at a certain time, right? In any Cold Wars, now I don't know if he will ever be like the best main AR at any time in Cold War, but I think he has a good chance of being in the conversation at least, right? Like, he deserves the respect to at least be in the conversation. He's very well-rounded, good in respawn and S&D. I did touch on the fact that he had a very poor series versus Toronto Ultra, and I don't know if it's a one-off bad series or if that is kind of just showing you what the future may hold, because from what I saw before, this Skyz looked very, very good. So at least right now, I think it's a one-off bad series. Maybe couldn't get in rhythm, maybe wasn't shooting the best that day, maybe there were some other issues within the team that we don't know about. I don't know, but I think this next week they do play 2 series. This is going to be big for him, okay? Not only because the team needs him to do well, for them to do well, but also just for his confidence, right? He needs to have confidence. Not saying he lost his confidence because he had a bad series, but there's a good chance that he's just thinking about it. He's hungry, he wants to kind of get revenge. People were cooking him. That's how it is. When it comes to communication, I think that's something that he definitely could work on. He's not necessarily the IGL. I don't think he ever has been, which isn't a horrible thing. It's not like the main AR has to be the in-game leader. I would say the in-game leader on this team is probably slacked, even though he is one of the recent additions to the team. But just from knowing the other players, I don't know who else is going to kind of take on that role. So Caesar can, be locked in sometimes, but he has the potential to take over games. He has that impact. Okay, when he's playing well, he could take over and win his team multiple games, right? Win them series. Like, I've seen it happen before in past titles. Lastly, we are going to be touching on the young gun, Neptune, a kid with a lot of potential from what people are telling me. Has a very high ceiling, very raw, very talented, right? He came over from Halo, and I'm excited for him. I am, because I kind of see a little bit of a simp, right? A little bit of a Shotzi, an illy in him. He has a lot of this talent, okay? And he just needs to be molded into a Call of Duty player. And how do you do that? You team with Call of Duty professionals who teach you how to play the game at the highest level. Now, he obviously doesn't have the luxury of being able to learn Call of Duty from some of the greats. You know, he's not teaming with Clay. He's not teaming with Crim. Now, this is nothing against the rest of his teammates, but it's a little bit different because Owakening and Skyz are pretty new themselves. You know what I'm saying? At the professional level, because Slack is the vet on this team. And I don't know what the dynamic is. You know, it's a little different if you got Crim or Clay or whoever kind of teaching you the ropes that is highly respected in the scene, right? Compared to someone like Slack, who knows what he's talking about. But I just don't know if Neptune is kind of taking everything in, just like any of these guys. I'm taking it all in, or if he has a little bit of an ego, right? Which is okay to have a little bit of an ego, but because you know people are gassing him up and he's doing well instantly in COD. I don't know, but that's something that's interesting to kind of think about, right? But in terms of just Neptune, he seems unbelievably talented, right? When it comes to mechanical skill, his communication seems okay. I haven't really seen too much of it, I'll be honest, so I don't really have a fair opinion on that. I'm assuming it's going to be good because he did come from Halo, where communication is one of, if not the most important things. He hasn't really fully grasped Call of Duty at the highest level yet, but I think he will. I at least hope he will. I want all the young guns to succeed in the scene, okay? So he's someone that I'm going to be looking out for the rest of the year, really. You know, I think he has the potential to have an Rookie of the Year. Well, yeah, definitely a Rookie of the Year. But he has the potential to even be in the conversation for MVP. I think, and I know that's a hot take. It's like, bro, you've only seen one series from him. But sometimes you just know, right? Sometimes you just see it and you can kind of see his future unfold in front of your eyes. I'm interested to see where they go. I think they have the potential to be a top 5 team, top 4 team in the game. I do. You know, when it comes to raw talent, I think they're in a great spot with Owakening and Neptune. I think you can maybe even throw Skyz in there. But they have players that can match up with the best of them. But I don't know if they have the leadership that they need to improve. I don't know if they're going to be able to be contenders, right? And have the possibility of winning a championship. In my opinion, they're going to just have to be a million times better when it comes to a team. Okay. Because they definitely don't have as much firepower as a lot of the other top teams, right? They have some, they can compete, but they don't have more than them. So their teamwork, their chemistry, their understanding for the game is all going to have to be a level ahead. And it's possible. I mean, one of the most recent examples is Gen G and Black Ops 4. They were all good players, but they didn't have the firepower to compete with the other top teams, right? With 100 Thieves, with Optic, with like I could go on. But their strength was their teamwork and their in-game knowledge and working together. And that's why they were as successful as they were in that year. Now, I know they got absolutely bodied at champs, but that's because other teams kind of caught up, right? But that's besides the point. So that's what I think they're going to need to capitalize on if they want to be a contender. But I definitely think they can be around the top 5 team for sure. You know, it just all depends on how quickly Neptune learns Call of Duty, right? And if he can turn into that superstar player. Because I am kind of rating him high, right? Thankfully, the second week of the season is this weekend. So I'm excited for some great matches, guys. As always, thank you for your time. Thank you for the love. Stay safe. And until next time, Kid is out.